Hello Visioneers, and welcome to Small Business Celebration. We're continuing our series on small businesses who not only survived the last recession but thrived from it. And our guest this week, well, this Tex-Mex cafe is completely Jake. This is Small Business Celebration. Join us as we learn from successful business owners and successful business leaders about who they are, from where their business has grown, what they have learned, and where their successful business is going. I am your host, Michael I. Roberts, and we're going to learn something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. Hello Visioneers, and welcome to Small Business Celebration. And our guest this week is Slayton-Price, the CEO of Jake's Tex-Mex. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And for those who do not know who you are, tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, I am, like you said, Sarah Slayton-Price. I am a second-generation owner of Jake's Tex-Mex Cafe. I took the business over from my dad, and I run day-to-day operations.
For probably the one or two people in Kern County who don't know who Jake's Tex-Mex is, tell us a little bit about the restaurant and what is it that you serve.
We call ourselves Tex-Mex, but we're really more cowboy grub.
Okay.
A restaurant that was established in the 80s by my father. My brother's name is Jake.
Okay, that's where the name of the restaurant comes from.
That's the namesake.
Okay.
And we're a fast casual. We like to think of ourselves as food theater.
Okay.
So you come in through the line. We are Chipotle before Chipotle existed.
Very good. This restaurant, like you said, has been around since the mid-'80s.
Yes.
And that in itself is a feat because most restaurants don't even last 2 years.
Yeah, it's not the easiest business to be in, but the big deal is we try to focus on customer service and consistency and trying to be as conservative as we can with the things thrown at us on a daily.
But don't dismiss the quality of the food.
Yes, consistency, like I said.
Right.
I mean, we don't have a freezer. We never have. Nothing's ever frozen. Everything's made fresh every day. Nothing comes out of a bag. That's not who we are. So we do a few things and we try to do them as well as we can.
Part of the restaurant business is, I know a lot of viewers are probably watching this and you've been waiting for me to interview a restaurateur here in the age of COVID. And so yes, here we are. But before we get into the current situation, this restaurant has been around for a while.
Yes.
And this is not the first recession Jake's has been through.
No.
First of all, what have you learned, you personally, learned from going through past recessions that you're applying to this one?
I first of all, I have to always take into account that I am second generation. So I grew up in this business, and my dad is a brilliant man, and I'm very lucky to have his guidance every day. And there's no way I would have survived all of this, especially COVID right now, without his wisdom, because there's nothing there's nothing that can beat experience.
Right.
The biggest deal there has just been making sure that in order to run an efficient restaurant, that nothing can be left to chance, and you really have to be present and on top of your numbers. I mean, the bottom line is percentages matter.
Give us an example of being present with your business, especially in a recession.
Well, I'm here every day.
Okay.
I think that's a big one. I think sometimes people think, okay, I've started the business, I'm the owner, I'm going to do a few things, and then I'm stepping away because I've hired a few people to, manage, which I do. I have awesome staff and management. They're absolutely wonderful, and I trust them. But there is a difference between being on premises every day, being present, customers seeing your face, your employees knowing that you are going to be here for them in case one of their decisions falls through. And that really is what it's about. I'm here 6 days a week, and I do everything I can to make sure that we have a backbone. What happens when you need to take a vacation? Well, I don't take a whole lot of vacations.
Okay.
I tried to be better about balancing that later here. Now that I've run the company for over a decade, I think balance comes into play. I will admit I didn't have a lot of balance in the beginning. I still probably could employ a little more, but I do try to, when I'm away from here, to have moments of clarity and focus on the things that matter, like family and my husband and, other creative outlets.
This particular recession is a little bit different because we're dealing with COVID and restaurants are on the front line of all this. I think, or I would guess, that you have seen the health inspector more times this year alone than probably ever in the last decade.
I've seen more of everything in this last year. It has been an absolute challenge and one that we have tried to tackle with as much positivity as we can.
Right.
I would say there's a lot of adjusting that needs to happen. I mean, we've come up with every possible solution of serving to make sure that people feel safe.
Right.
And trying to manage that along with food costs, employee costs. It's been a whole new frontier.
Especially in a situation where it seems like every week the rules keep changing.
And you're not kidding. Every week I have a new rule.
But one of the things, and part of the reason why Visioneer Nation, we're here in her office and not in the restaurant, is for one of those innovations that you guys are employing as we speak. We're in the second floor of a building that's being completely renovated. So if you hear construction going on in the background, there's a good reason for it.
Because there is.
Because there is, exactly. But that is part of the innovation that you guys are undertaking because of COVID. Tell us very briefly what's going on with this building and how is this taking Jake's Tex-Mex in a new direction?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, it really has a lot of points that have led us here. First of all, we purchased the building quite a few years ago. I'd say 3 years ago, the opportunity to buy the building became available. And being as my number one complaint is parking, it seemed natural for us to purchase it. I shared my office with a walk-in refrigerator in the old building.
That sounds cool.
Yes, it was. Exactly. And because of that, I mean, we were out of space. And we've done as many creative things as we could to that building. So having the opportunity to expand a little bit over here just made sense.
Right.
And I needed the storage, so that's always lovely. Then as we sat down as a family, because we are a very involved family, my brothers sit on the board, we basically sat down and tried to brainstorm what we can do to make sure that this building doesn't go to waste, that it's profitable. Doesn't make sense to have more tenants in it because now we're sharing the parking that I've just purchased.
Right.
So trying to come up with the best and most effective way and use of this building. Well, as COVID hit, I mean, it just turned us on our heads. The plan that we had for the last 2 years went up in flames. So that's when, and I have to say I'm really proud. You just got to pivot. You got to find a way to see the problem in front of you and tackle it. And that's what I think my family and I are trying to do.
But you're transforming the entire bottom floor into something new.
So we've just eliminated the front portion of the building, which was built in 1947, I believe. It had seen better days and was ready to go. So a lot of that front area will be parking. And even though parking sounds boring, it is Jake's Tex-Mex, so it won't be. We have a lot of surprises coming out the front of the building.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, opportunities. We understand we're in an Instagram world these days, so we find it as a marketing opportunity, which we're going to try to take advantage of. Downstairs, we're hoping to eventually put our to-go and catering in the bottom floor here. And the option there was to eliminate what one building is doing and taking some of the pressure off of it. So if I can take two of the main problems with space and I can put them here, then the restaurant can just take care of the restaurant. And hopefully we can provide a better dining and dine-in experience for the people who want to come and have a quick lunch or have a lunch meeting, either or. We're trying to tackle both of those things.
It sounds like just because you've been hit with COVID doesn't mean you're throwing up the white flag and giving up.
Oh, heck no, that is not me. No, I'm more of a dig in my heels and, figure it out. My whole family is. My dad is that way as well. This is a problem we can solve.
If Visioneers want to get in touch with you, How do they do that?
Well, you can get in touch with us a few ways. Obviously, we are on the World Wide Web.
Okay.
At jakestexmex.com, all one word. You can call the restaurant at any time.
And what's the phone number?
It's 661-322-6380.
What was that?
661-322-6380.
And how do they find you on the World Wide Web?
Well, we are on Instagram and Facebook, both at Jake's Tex-Mex. All one word.
Sounds good. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about one of the foundational methodologies that is used on a weekly basis, on Saturdays, actually, to make this a very strong and profitable business.
Yes, I work Saturdays.
When we come right back. In times like these, the sharp business owner knows that now is the time to invest in undervalued businesses to move their financial future forward. But how do you find the right business? How do you arrange financing? How do you analyze the prospective business financials and industry information to make the right decision? Do what the proud owners of the Tire Man have done. Turn to Sunbelt Business Brokers and Advisors at 661-323-2358 or visit them at sunbeltnetwork.com/Bakersfield-CA and buy the undervalued business to move your financial future forward. Call Sunbelt Business Brokers and Advisors at 661-323-2358 or visit them at sunbeltnetwork.com/Bakersfield-CA today. We're here with Sarah Slayton-Price, the CEO of Jake's Tex-Mex Restaurant, and you, born and raised in Bakersfield,
Yes.
actively involved in volleyball
Yeah.
since the dawn of time.
Pretty much. I'm that old. I started playing volleyball when I was 10, 11 years old.
Right.
Got involved with that through club, which most parents out there know it's a year-long, year-round.
And this is the Bakersfield?
I was at Kern River at the time, but
Okay.
that doesn't exist anymore. Okay. Again, showing my age. But basically played all through high school, a very successful high school volleyball career, and then took a scholarship to college and played in college. Mm-hmm. Then when I returned home, started coaching immediately. I haven't taken a break from it, and I'll be 42 here, so.
But you skipped over something very important when you said that, is you guys in high school were Valley champions 3 years?
4.
All 4 years.
So I won Valley Championship all 4 years.
So there was definitely a feeling of championship mentality through your entire 4-year term there.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the state finals 3 years in a row. I have 4 Valley titles, 2 state titles in Division 2 and Division 1, and then my senior year we were named the #1 team in the nation.
Your success in high school, like you said, took you on a scholarship to Utah. Mm-hmm. And you took the lessons, the championship mentality to you to college, but then you came home.
Yeah.
And you started your career not in the restaurant.
No, goodness no. I was the marketing manager at Cal State Bakersfield for the athletic department. Uh-huh. Then I went out on my own and was a individual graphic designer.
And you had no desire to be in the family business?
No way. I think my brothers, we laugh about it a lot because we watched how hard this business is and what my dad did our entire growing up. So we all resisted it. Right. For sure.
The more you got away, the more they pulled you back in.
I think it was a mutual decision. I'm from a very creative family, and I knew the more I was doing projects with my mom and dad that it seemed to work. We don't come into working as a family naively. I mean, there is a lot of structure and communication that has to come into play in order to make that work because, family businesses don't always work. Right. But we're pretty cognizant of it. And so when the opportunity came, and after much discussion, it just was a natural flow, and it seemed to fit my skill set. And that skill set is something that you learned from being in championship volleyball that you applied to the business. Yeah, I mean, as soon as I was done playing, well, first of all, I was a setter, so that's kind of like a quarterback on any volleyball team.
Right.
And then I immediately started coaching, and those lessons just carry over into this 100%.
How so?
Well, communication, understanding how a team works, knowing that not everyone on the team is going to be on the same page at all times, and how do you manage that? And
how do you manage that?
well, a lot of discussion, a lot of rule setting, and a lot of goal setting. So we have to understand that we're all on a ship together, and it's got to go in the same direction. And it doesn't always have to be pretty, but if someone stops rowing their oar in the boat, it's going to be rough. So trying to motivate a staff of 35 essentially every day to make sure that we're all in this together, and me included.
Sure.
They're not out there on their own,
Right.
you know, and that's what team building's about.
Part of that team is what happens on Saturdays that we alluded to a little bit here.
Yeah.
And what is the primary, in your view, the primary focus that you have as the CEO of the restaurant, especially when it comes to the nuts and bolts and finances of making this business work?
Well, I think there is a misconception. If you're in the restaurant business, you must be making hundreds of thousands of dollars, hands over fist, and that's just not the case.
I thought you lived in the kitchen all the time.
Exactly. The bottom line is numbers are the most important.
Right.
We have, the business model doesn't make sense. A ridiculous amount of labor, a ridiculous amount of overhead. I mean, these aren't parts of a business plan that people go in, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Right.
So managing each one of those is imperative, because our business works off 2, 3, 4%. It's that small.
Wow.
And if I screw that up, if I'm not on top of those percentages, if I'm not aware of what's coming in and out of my business, we fail.
One of our earlier guests was Jerry White with White Forest Nursery, and one of the things he was talking about was the importance, especially during this age of COVID, of having multiple vendors. And this is something that has also been very important for you and your business as well, and managing that 2 to 3%. Why is this such a significant part of your business?
Well, 2 to 3% means survival here, and it can change somebody who works for me's life. If I can save 3% and put it towards my labor, I can change somebody's opportunities here, which is what we want to do. We want to build a family. But in order to do that, I have to do my job. So on Saturdays, I do what's called a weekly snapshot. Essentially, I take all of my bills from the week, I look at my food costs, I look at my restaurant costs, and then I try to see how I performed as the CEO and the buyer and doing the inventory and all the fun stuff. Every Saturday, basically like a little game that I'm always trying to win.
Who's got the cheapest salt?
Exactly. So I think some restaurants, at least in my experience, they get into this relationship with one purveyor, and I'm lucky enough to have 5 to 6 purveyors who
What's a purveyor?
People that I buy my goods from.
Okay.
So those providers essentially then give me their pricing on Saturdays, and I go through and I look at, we are always looking at quality first and then price second, but if I can save or shave off 2 or 3% a week, boy, I feel like I am winning.
You also, in the process of doing this, have a sign on your desk that I love, and it's very deep, it's very insightful.
Oh, yes. Inspiring.
And it's, nope.
Yeah.
Why do you have this on your desk?
Well, it's for a couple reasons. I think it's a reminder. I think most people who know me are cracking up right now because they know that's pretty synonymous with me.
Okay.
I'm a nuts and bolts kind of gal. There isn't a lot of fluff with me, so it's a yep or a nope. And I've been trying really hard in the last decade, maybe to soften a little bit, but also to say no when no deserves to be said. Can't say yes to everything, even if you want to. And I try really hard to do everything I can, especially for the community. I don't know, we don't have an advertising budget. I take that money that we would normally spend in advertising and we give back to the community. And so I've always tried to donate as much as I could. It's been my philosophy from the beginning. Especially for Bakersfield. You give back to Bakersfield. They give you back in spades. I mean, they're an amazing community, but I've had to get better at the nopes. And then how I resonate with the nopes at the end of the day.
That's something that's very key. And last week our guest was David Dobbs, and he talked about, he also gives very much to the community.
Yeah.
And he was talking about
He does a lot.
Exactly. And he was talking about his barometer and how he determines how much money he gives back to the community. And since this is your principal form of advertising,
It is.
what are the guideposts of your, or what are the signposts that you guys use to determine who you give to, how much you give to, and how often, how frequently, how much, and that sort of thing?
Well, first of all, donation requests are extensive. Mm-hmm. I mean, at one point, before COVID hit, I was probably receiving 100 to 200 letters a week asking for things,
right,
because everyone's in need, and I completely understand that.
Right.
I think what we try to do is look at the overall goal of why someone's trying to raise the funds, what the event is for, and whether or not that aligns with our beliefs. In terms of, we give to the American Cancer Society. We try really hard for local businesses that are running their own. They can put together a festival or a sponsorship or something that they've really grassrooted. We love to be part of that, just because it keeps it in the community. So we try really hard there. I try to say yes to the things that I know will make a difference.
Well, when we come back, we're going to have some more fun with Nope. And we're also going to get more into the philosophy, but also what makes Nope work when we come right back. Can you believe our 100th episode is right around the corner? Neither can I. But who would you like to see as our guest here on Small Business Celebration's 100th episode? Well, if you've got a thought, leave their name in the comment section below, and your guest of your choice could be here on Small Business Celebration for our 100th episode. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and who knows, your guest could be our guest here on Small Business Celebration's 100th episode. We're here with Sarah Slayton-Price, the CEO of Jake's Tex-Mex, and who's Doug?
Oh, Doug is my very spoiled 6-year-old Great Dane.
Not Douglas.
No, only when he's in trouble. His name's Doug.
First of all, why a Great Dane?
Well, I'm an animal lover.
Okay.
So is my husband. We've always had large dogs. That's part of who we are. We're not a small dog house. No offense to the small dog owners. When we started researching the breed, it just fit our lifestyle. They're pretty low energy. They love to be around people. They're actually great apartment dogs.
So they like to curl up in your lap?
They love to curl up in your lap, sleep in the bed with you, all sorts of stuff. But their personality are what resonated. We have a lot of little kids in our life. I have a lot of nieces and nephews. So never have to worry. They could climb all over and make you care less.
The horse enjoys being ridden.
Yes, exactly. Totally.
What have you learned from Doug that applies to your business?
Oh, goodness, to let it go.
Okay,
Probably.
How so?
Nothing bothers Doug.
Okay.
And I probably aspire to be just like Doug.
Okay.
I would love for nothing to bother me.
For example, what are some of the things that Doug has done that you've gone, really? I could never do that.
My Great Dane?
Your Great Dane.
Oh my goodness, everything. He has to make friends with everyone. He's the ambassador of my cul-de-sac.
Okay.
I love that personality trait. I would love to be a little more approachable. And I think just sloughing it off at the end of the day and sleeping like a baby. I wish I could do that.
You've taken some of these lessons that you have learned from your father.
A lot, mostly.
You've taken the lessons you learned from being invaluable. And believe it or not, you've taken lessons from Doug.
I will never admit it to him. It's not a shock to anybody who knows me. The lead follow or get out of the way.
Right.
Staying stagnant is never who I've been, and I have no problem if you want to lead the way, but if you don't, get out of my way because we're moving forward.
And yet, something along the way has happened where you've said, I think I should not quite be the bulldozer going through the front of the building.
Right.
And how have you learned to tether some of that bullishness out, and rein it back a little bit?
Well, I think it doesn't work And you have to be empathetic to every situation you're in and understand what you can give to it and how you affect people. Bullishness doesn't work long term if you want to get the most out of everyone around you. And sometimes you have to let other people take the lead. I try really hard with my staff and my management staff when there are suggestions and they want to take the lead on something. And if it fails, it fails. We work it out together. And if they succeed, it's a success that they had, and that's fantastic. So I would say there's always time to lead, but there is some time to really listen, and I think I've gotten a lot better at that.
Do you still have that situation from time to time where you're there in the restaurant and you see an employee doing something and you've seen this movie before, you know how it's going to end, and I see you holding back your notes on the desk, and you know how this is going to end, and yet you have to let it play out?
Yeah, for sure, because they don't learn otherwise. I can't fix everything, and I have a phenomenal staff, and most of that is because I have some that have been with us for 15, 16. Our kitchen manager's been with my family for 30 years. I mean, those are experience and lessons that have to be valued, and I'm not here to fix everything. I'm here to manage it and make it the best possible environment it can be. Do we always get it right? No. But we try really hard to do it better most days.
You're also, like a lot of business owners, successful business owners, a reader.
I am. I love to read.
You are a member of a book club.
I am. My book club girls, shout out.
Nice.
6 years.
Very good, very good. What is one of your favorite books that you read to enjoy, but now you recommend to everybody?
A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles.
Okay. What's it about?
It's during the Bolshevik era
In Russia?
About a gentleman who basically has been charged with treason, and his charge is to live in a hotel for the rest of his life.
And why was he charged with treason?
Because he was talking out against the regime that was in power at the time.
And worse yet, he was royalty.
He was royalty, and that was a big no-no.
Right.
With lots of money.
And
that could be taken from him.
And his prison sentence was to spend the rest of his life
in this hotel.
And
he couldn't leave, and basically had to adapt. So finding a way to adapt, spending your life basically on home imprisonment, but in a hotel with the amenities a hotel has to offer. And then ended up working as a waiter in its very esteemed restaurant, creating relationships with the people there who work there. It's a wonderful book.
And you touched on the key theme.
Adaptability.
Why is this such an important theme?
Restaurant business, you don't adapt, you die. I mean, there's just the tweaks that are made on a daily basis in order to adhere to the ever-changing situation. Like you said, pandemic has really put us into a recession. If you want to call it more than that, you can. And trying to navigate that, it gives you a sense of strength. If I can adapt around this, if my family and I can adapt around this, if my staff can adapt around the times that we're faced with right now, you got to believe that you can do anything.
And you bring up something very key, is you're not the bull in the china shop.
No, I hope not. We try not to be.
Because you're looking for adaptability from a lot of other sources.
There's no way in this environment when you're being thrown a new rule every day, a new payment, a new tax payment. There's all sorts of things that come at us to not have the ability to adapt and pivot. It's hard to explain the things we're dealing with now,
right.
But I really believe we're going to make it through.
What is one thing that Vision Your Nation could do today to grow a strong and profitable business?
Well, I would say if you're going to get started with a business, to start small.
And if you've already have an existing business,
buy your building.
Oh, why so?
Well, I think there's a couple reasons. If you have the opportunity, and I am lucky enough to be, again, second generation, where my dad had the vision and the opportunity was presented to buy our land. You're always in charge of your domain. No one's going to kick you out. No one's going to raise your rent. And you have a fixed cost on something that you can then adapt when times like this are coming.
Like you're doing downstairs.
Like we're doing downstairs. I know that that's not a capable achievement for everyone. I know that sometimes people don't have the option to purchase their land, but if you're new and you're just getting started, start small. If you're in the restaurant business, start with a limited menu. And if you have an opportunity to purchase where you're at, do it. Make the investment.
If Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Well, they can get in touch with me online at jakestexmex.com, or they can call the restaurant anytime. I'm here every day. 661-322-6380.
And if they want to find you online, how do they do that?
Instagram and Facebook at Jake's Tex-Mex.
Well, Sarah, this has been a real pleasure. Thank you very much for being on Small Business Celebration. It's been a real treat.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
In times like these, the sharp business owner knows that now is the time to invest in undervalued businesses to move their financial future forward. But how do you find the right business? How do you arrange financing? How do you analyze the prospective business financials and industry information to make the right decision? Do what the proud owners of the Tire Man have done. Turn to Sunbelt Business Brokers and Advisors at 661-323-2358 or visit them at sunbeltnetwork.com/Bakersfield-CA and buy the undervalued business to move your financial future forward. Call Sunbelt Business Brokers and Advisors at 661-323-2358 or visit them at sunbeltnetwork.com/Bakersfield-CA today. Who is a visioneer? A visioneer is a business leader who is a pioneer that has vision. A visioneer is someone willing to see the world not as it is, but as it could be, and is willing to do something about it. A visioneer is ethical, smarter, faster, and leaner than the mainstream competition. A visioneer gives value first because visioneers are in the business for the long haul. Visioneers understand the difference between saving money and earning a profit. Visioneers define their destiny. Visioneers create their own luck. Visioneers surround themselves with successful, like-minded people. Visioneers are renegades who defy the mainstream competition and are ready to change the world. Are you a visioneer? Join the Visioneer Tribe with Small Business Celebration on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram today.